Before we start posing our character, we need to first remember what makes a good pose. If the poses have simple lines of action, clear silhouette, contrast, that lets the audience read the poses better and creates a more compelling animation. Here I have my character's first pose, which is sad. His head is down, chest and arms are hanging low, his body feels heavy. It's a simple pose, but it has a clear silhouette. And if we look at its line of action, we can see that it's also a very clear and simple arc, coming from the left down. Then on frame 22, we have a contrasting pose of a happy character, and the pose is pretty basic here as well. Its line of action is going in the opposite direction, as well as all the body parts are now pushing up. Head, chest, hands are light in the air, communicating to the audience his change of mood. Contrapposto is another important tool helping us create good contrasting poses. As you remember, contrapposto refers to the asymmetry of hips and shoulders, which creates stretch along one side and compression along the other. We can take a look at the first pose now, and here we have his hips going this way and shoulders going that way, which creates stretch on this side and compression along this side. Now we can compare the two poses. You can see that they are clearly contrasting poses, creating opposite shapes with their line of action. We can also take a look at our character from the side. Here we have compression along the back, stretch in the front, and the line of action is going this way. If we take a look at the other pose, here we have the opposite thing. A compression is at the front and the stretch is along the back. The line of action is going this way. So now if we compare these two poses, we can see that even from a different camera angle, we still have the opposite shapes between the poses. All right, let's go back. So we looked at our two main poses, sad and happy. Now on frame 16, we have an overshooting pose of happy. It is a third extreme pose which overshoots the final pose, and the difference is subtle, but you can see it. These three poses are the most important ones in our story, and we need to make sure that they have clean lines of action and that they are contrasting poses from one another. Once you're done with that, you can be sure that you have a good starting point for your animation and can move on. So then, on frame 12, we have another extreme pose, which is an extreme down pose, and it is an anticipation pose before going up. You can see how everything in this pose goes in the opposite direction than where the main action will be going later. You can also think of this anticipation pose as a squish pose, and of the overshoot pose as a stretch pose, if you remember the squash and stretch principle. Finally, we need one more pose before going straight ahead in between these main poses, and that is a slow in pose at the end of our animation, or a cushion. And you can see what a tiny difference is between these two poses. So it's just a moving hold. And here we have our 5 main poses, which create a nice flow of animation that will be easy to clean up later. So once again, make sure you have strong poses first before going into motion and all the details. In the next lesson, we'll start creating these poses ourselves.